We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Odell Beckham Jr., Miami Dolphins wide receiver, to see how he helps them perform this season on third down versus two-man specifically. I think, the Dolphins offense, one of the best in the NFL last year, but struggled in a couple key areas, especially in the late in the season versus very good teams, was beating two-man in obvious third down or passing situations. Tyreek, Waddle, I'm going to show some clips of them getting double-teamed, both of them at the same time, sometimes just one of them on the field. Where the Dolphins offense really struggled to get going, and there's a couple ways to get better versus that. Adding Odell as a third option to beat man-to-man is huge because other wide receivers were not getting open, while Waddle and Hill were getting double teamed, and then having Tua lose, I think, a couple pounds to be a little more active because mobility really helps versus two-man. As you can see across the board, no one really opened up with Tyreek being double teamed over the top here by this safety. Everyone else struggling to create any sort of separation. Same thing again here. Everyone locked up to this side of the field, no separation at all. And then Tyreek also not separating in his man, but still getting help over the top because this guy's playing a little more of a bail. This time, Tyreek and Waddle both getting double teamed. 2S get rid of the ball super quickly. This actually ends up getting completed versus two-man, but it was like one of those plays where it barely was completed, and I think it ended up actually not even counting because there was a holding at the line of scrimmage. Just so many examples, though, of them playing two-man, and them even trying to, beat two-man in different ways instead of running routes, giving Tyreek a quick screen, but then obviously that stuff wasn't working out either. That's where that fumble happened. So many situations. So adding Odell as a guy that can win versus man-to-man situations in multiple different areas, just fitting within the offense, I think is so important. Great to see this sort of added dynamic. They really added, I think, to their offensive weaknesses, specifically Jonnu Smith helps in that intermediate underneath work that the Dolphins kind of struggled with last year. Odell helps them beat some man-to-man, winning those key situations. Even Mike talked about it. Or even when Odell's getting double teamed, it's not even man-to-man. He could still get open down the field. It should also make teams less likely to just only double Tyreek and Waddle, because if Odell, especially early on in the season, starts winning those one-on-ones, they might not double Tyreek and Waddle as much and just play, normal defense to not give OBJ just these easy one-on-ones. But just some example of it, Bengals are playing more of like a three match here, but it ends up basically being kind of like the same thing as man-to-man. He gets this look. He really understands how to work like his route tempo, really mix up his footwork, gives this slight lean to the outside here, which makes this guy lean into his leverage. And once he does that, square him up, break it down, hard stab with that right foot to the outside, get this guy to freeze his feet, and then break across his face. Nice inbreaker, hit him in stride. That's something Tua does really well. Fitting within the offense, but just really key stuff. Even when he doesn't create a ton of separation, like here he is in the slot versus Kohu. Dolphins are in single high, but just trying to show it versus man-to-man, just to see, because he'll get the one-on-one looks. But getting over the top, create that late separation, good hand fighting, good tracking, and then making a tough catch, good awareness, situational awareness near the sideline to make that catch inbounds. So even when he doesn't create a ton of separations, he's still able to win. Here's just stacks up on top of this corner real quick. Gets off the ball, quick speed release, just jabs that foot in the ground, gets over on top, hand fights, and then he's able to stack him and lean back away to the outside, get back on your landmark and away from this deep high safety, and then track the ball over the head, which is really good. And Lamar Jackson's a very good quarterback, but one area Tua definitely, I think, hasn't beaten is as a deep ball thrower. And there was a couple times Odell probably getting even hit even on more deep balls. So it's going to be, exciting to see OBJ even get more of a chance. Here he is just winning off the ball on a quick slant. Definitely very, very important. I love how aggressive and violent he can be with his releases. The way he gives like this little hezzy, skip, boom, stab to the outside of the frame of this guy. Freeze him, cross that face, hand fight, boom, catch the slant in his stride, and then pull away. He's still got enough juice left in the tank. And they got OBJ for like a pretty cheap deal too. And it's just for situations like this. Look at it across the board. Tyreek, they're facing press man, and Tyreek loves to face press man, but not when it's like deep safety over the top. He can't just blow by him on a vertical. How many touchdowns did we see versus press look? We could just hit Tyreek vertically versus one single high, but it's too high. And then this guy's able to cap over these three, but not a single person. Barrios, Cedric, and that's Jeff Wilson, creates like literally an inch of separation. Doesn't happen at all. Same thing here. These plays don't have Waddle involved, but Tyreek's doubled up. No one open at all. And usually in this situation, either, Tua's got to get rid of the ball quickly because he's getting quick pressure too. Like in all these plays, he's getting quickly pressured. Or Tua has to be able to escape the pocket. So that's why him adding some mobility should help too, because there's a lot of room to run versus too high. They can't have like a spy on you. Here's like another, kind of a different example of a two-man type look. They bring different blitzes, but it still ends up being sort of the same principles, too high over the top. But they bring Karlaftis. They're able to complete this because it's basically an edge to Waddle here. But still, Waddle getting worked on by two-man. Tyreek is also kind of have two-man on him, but with the blitzes, he actually is able to get open. But these are just like examples. Like, even though Tyreek and Waddle can sometimes make plays versus it, it's still going to be difficult to play versus these types of looks. The ball has to come out quickly, and then it ends up being, since they bring that type of pressure, it ends up getting, a sack. Playing two-man here, again, they try to do something different to beat two-man because they've struggled to throw down the field versus it. Get a quick screen, they don't block it up well. These types of things, not very, very good to see. Those are just a few different examples, I think, of where they were trying to double Tyreek, trying to double Waddle if he was on the field too. There's definitely even more examples of them both being doubled at the same time, especially against the Bills and the Chiefs specifically in both of those games. So adding Odell, I think, should help pretty greatly because he can win in multiple different ways. We've seen him, break across the way, win on a slant. Here he is, working back over the top on like, a 7, a flag route right there. And he's able to track that in. He can win to multiple different sides of the field. Like some wide receivers are just good at those in breakers, which Odell is very good. Some guys are just good on that vertical plane. Odell can pretty much run the full route tree. He's got it, in his bag. Here he does it again. I love how he's able to manipulate. He's very sudden. He's able to manipulate with his body language. Get these guys, stack on cross. Doesn't get the target here, but he had him beat. Again, in that very similar type situation here, just, running the dig. Even when he doesn't, have to do too much crazy stuff. It's just nice to see him winning in these situations where he's basically a man-to-man. Some of these are zone match coverages too, but he's basically still in a one-on-one situation, which still kind of gets, the same point across. What I'm trying to create is that he is going to be much more likely to win one-on-one situations than what the receivers the Dolphins had last year after Tyreek and Waddle. And even guys that they drafted like Malik Washington, Taj Washington had two of the better man win rate in college, so that's big too. They added Johnny Smith, who will be more of a man beater than what they had at tight end, but he was brought in more to work that intermediate and give you yards after catch, which should be helpful because another area the Dolphins struggled is teams would kind of congest the middle of the field a little bit and then gain a lot of depth. So I think having guys who can take more advantage of that intermediate part of the field will be helpful too. And then Odell should take care of this man-to-man stuff. Here he is off the line, kind of cooking Tariq Woolen. He does a really good job with his footwork. He just understands like the pace variation that he should work in this route stem. Just keeps these guys off balance. Some guys don't understand the timing and the rhythm of the game, and I think Odell has a very good feel for that of when he should be getting into his route breaks to time it up with the QB, but also to time it up to like manipulate these defensive backs. So I think the signing is actually pretty good. Like if they had to sign him to a big deal, I wasn't really for it, but like the deal they got him for, like it was like what, $3 million, but like decent amount of incentives. I prefer that because like if he hits his incentives, that means he had a good season, so then it's worth it, and it's a 1-year deal. You don't need to have him for like a super long time. You drafted some guys. You can still potentially add receivers down the line because there's always good receivers coming out of the draft every single year if you really want to. But being able to win versus press man coverage, one of my favorite routes here, because this guy's playing hard inside leverage this corner. I believe that's Martin Emerson, who's not a horrible player from my understanding. And he's still able to cross his face very easily just by how he sets up his route and then has the burst to pull away into the end zone. So love the signing, love what it just means for these specific scenarios, and the Tua weight loss should also help out. It's just like they added a bunch of pieces to slightly help out the situation than just, have one piece do it all. So if you guys know the video, make sure to comment, subscribe to the end of the box. Peace.